Hello everyone, DCP here, and let me wish you a Merry Christmas. For all those who celebrate Christmas, may it be a happy time of year for you as much as possible during the current worldwide pandemic and with the restrictions in place for our safety and the safety of our loved ones. I know that this time of year we normally have big get-togethers, big parties, a big celebration with close family and friends, those who we wish to be with and who we wish to share our lives with. This year, of course, has been a very difficult year on that regard, and in regards to spending time with the people that we love and the people that we cherish. It's been difficult for us financially, psychologically, mentally, physically. We've had to cope with something that we in the Western developed world haven't had to deal with for a long time, and just goes to show how much we rely on and how much we take for granted the freedoms that we normally experience in our day-to-day lives. The freedom to go where we like to go without restriction or restraint, to see who we want to see without worry or in some cases fear of infecting them or in some cases unfortunately causing them to pass on or causing them to be extremely ill. We wouldn't be, told who can and can't work. We wouldn't be having our wages decreased by such an extent. It's been a difficult year. That's the main thing, isn't it? We've come to realize how difficult things can be, and my hope and my wish, let's call it my wish, is that we in the Western world and the developed world come to realize how lucky we are, how truly lucky and privileged we are to live where we live, to have the freedoms that we have, to have the opportunities as well that we have. For example, in United Kingdom, we have access to free healthcare and free schooling for our children. There are a lot of places in the world where healthcare isn't free and where schooling isn't free. Now, there are people in this country, this collection of countries, who decided that they want to pay for their healthcare and want to pay for their children to go to school. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that. If they have the money, they are allowed to send their children to a school where they pay for their education. Some people believe that this gives their child a better education because the class sizes are smaller and because the budget of that school is bigger due to the amount being paid by the parents. The curriculum may be better. I don't know. I went to a public school myself, one funded by the government or by our taxes. So I have no experience with that. Also, with the private healthcare, I've not experienced private healthcare. I've always been a recipient of the National Health Service, which is in this country, it's the health service that you don't pay for on treatment. Once again, it comes out of your taxes. It comes out of your national insurance contribution. So once again, it's something that is funded by a government body, by having taxes put on it. Some people said that the private healthcare does better treatment. I once again have no knowledge of it, so I cannot comment on it. Uh, but it's an option. The option is there to have funded healthcare if you can't afford private healthcare. The option is there to have funded school if you cannot pay for school. There are many countries in the world where both healthcare and education are not funded by any sort of government. Um, you can't access them if you don't have any sort of money. In this country, even if you have nothing to your name and you live on the streets, you can still have access to the healthcare that's available, the hospitals, the nurses, the doctors, the dentists. There's a big waiting list for NHS dentists because there's not very many of them. But if you were in another country where that system wasn't, then you wouldn't have the opportunity, you wouldn't have the privilege of free healthcare, you wouldn't have the privilege of free education. Now, I'm using that word privilege a lot. Is it luck or is it privilege? Is it luck that I was born here? And by that luck, I have certain opportunities, certain privileges that aren't available for those people in other countries? But yeah, both answers I would say would be yes. We are so lucky to have what we have in this country. But even in this country, there is poverty. There is destitution. There are kids starving. There are parents starving to feed their kids. There are parents and kids starving because their families do not earn enough to pay the bills, or barely pay the bills, just about managing to keep a roof over their heads. And it's terrible. It's terrible. I grew up in a single household. My mum was a single parent. I have two smaller, younger sisters. And my mum struggled. She worked, and she struggled. She could barely afford to feed us and pay the bills. There were many days that we were starving. Even though we had some food, it wasn't enough to sustain us. I was very, very underweight for quite a lot of my life. I was very, very underweight, very underweight. There was one point in my life where you could see my skeleton through my skin. You could actually see all my ribs. My stomach was concaved in instead of this sort of like, now sort of around. It was sort of in a bit more like that, but permanent without me breathing in, and that actually hurt to do. I didn't have any muscular on my arm. I had very little muscle. I still don't have a lot of muscle, but it's better than what it was. It was literally just like my arm. There's very little there. There's very little here. It's all, you can see pretty much all my bones, my hands. You can see the bones of my legs. You can see my bones of my feet. My chin, my cheeks were sucked in. My neck was a lot thinner too. Which that's just how poor we were. We were poor. Even though my mum managed somehow to keep the house, so we had a roof over our head to keep the bills paid. We were one of the families that were starving. Wasn't enough food to give us proper growth, proper physical growth. Of course, that affected our learning state. How could it not? If you're not well nourished, it affects your state to learn. But I was still lucky enough to be living in this country where the healthcare and the schooling was free, and thanks to the free schooling, there was also food in that school to feed us, you know? So I at least had one decent meal a day while I was at school. And then when it was summer holidays or half terms or Christmas term, there was struggles, food struggles. Of course there was food struggles, you know? Your parent works all the hours they can while looking after 3 kids. 3 kids. Because our father left. Our father left us. He things. I don't want to go into it. It's personal, and I don't want to go there. It's a struggle. Sorry. Give me a moment. What I suppose I'm saying is, even though we have these things, this free healthcare, this free schooling system, there are still millions of children in this country, in United Kingdom, who are starving, whose parents cannot afford to feed them. Now, the reasons behind each individual case may vary, but there is, I believe, one universal truth, in my belief, that no parent willingly wants their kid to suffer. No true parent wants their kid to suffer. You know, we got thousands upon thousands, millions upon millions of children, of parents struggling to have nourishment. I'm not just meaning in this country. It's bad if it's in this country, which is now the 6th wealthiest country in the world, which for the size of the United Kingdom is pretty good, because we're only a small little island surrounded by sea. We don't have any land neighbours. Well, Scotland we do, and Wales, but Scotland, Wales and England and Northern Ireland are United Kingdom. Apart from Scotland and Wales, Northern Ireland is separated by water. The rest of the European continent is separated by water. You know, we are an island, a small, tiny island. So to be the 6th richest country in the world is a thing, you know, it's an achievement, you know. It used to be 5th, and then things happened. And then became 6th, but you know, that's nothing to be ashamed of. What is to be ashamed of is that upon the backs of people who are starving themselves to try and feed their kids, and those kids themselves are starving, that we look at those people in such distaste, such disdain. These people don't want to be poor. These people don't want to starve. These people don't want to starve their kids. The kids certainly don't want to starve. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. In other countries where the opportunities aren't as great as ours, Those parents don't want to be starving. They don't want their kids to starve. Not only is there a lack of decent healthcare in those countries, a lack of decent education, both of which you'll have to pay for, but due to the geography of them, it's harder to grow crops. And because of certain ideologies that they've been brought up to believe, it's harder for them. Do I have an answer for world hunger? No. But we do throw away an awful lot of food. An awful lot of food. In the United Kingdom, in the developed world, food waste. It's a massive thing. Massive thing. Costs us millions, costs us billions. And food waste. Because the shape of it is wrong. Or it grew on the ground. Or it's touched the ground in some way. It's not a certain size or aesthetic. Its colour's off slightly. It's got a bit of bruising. Trust me, I've had a lot of bruised apples in my life. I've had a lot of bruised fruit and veg in my life. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. So that could be a start. Stop wasting so much food. All this food that's going to waste, going and rotting in farmers' fields because it doesn't meet the supermarket recommendations. The farmers need to eat. The farmers need to work. The farmers need money to live on. And they don't get a lot. So many farmers are in debt. But they don't have to worry about, they do have to worry about food. How do they sustain themselves? How do they sustain their families, their livelihoods? Can they afford to give away the food that would otherwise be rotting in their fields, which is perfectly edible for human consumption, perfectly edible for animal consumption, let's be honest. Perfectly edible. And it's going to waste. If you use that food, instead of letting it go to waste, if it was cheaper, because it was not the standard shape or slightly bruised, that help relieve some of the food issues in this country, and then by and large help spread it through the world to help balance out or reduce the amount of people starving? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not an ecologist. I'm not a financial person. I'm not a farmer. I am not somebody who deals with logistics. I'm not a politician. I'm not a banker. I am just a human being. A human being who has thoughts, who thinks, who wishes to discuss stuff, who looks at their past and thinks, what can I do to make myself better? What can I do to inform others of things that I have done in the past to help them grow, to inform them, to make them stop and think of perhaps doing things a different way? Or even if my ramblings just give you some form of entertainment, of joy, or of solace. That is what this is. Discussion, culture, builds. You discuss things in order to come to terms with them. we need to look at our culture to see what we can do to improve it, not just for those already living in that culture, but those of other cultures as well, to help them to help themselves, so they can become better themselves without having to over-rely on support. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't support them, because some of these countries are in this predicament because of things that we have done in the past, or things that we continue to do in our present. And we need to build the relationships between ourselves and others. Just build our communities, build our knowledge, and build our respect towards fellow human beings, no matter where they are, who they are, what they believe, or anything else of that matter. I suppose that is the true meaning of Christmas. Coming together and helping each other to live better, to improve each other and become better people. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. It's a bit of a random discussion one about poverty, food poverty, and things like that, how we might look to get over it and how to improve the situation of what it is. And I do hope that you have learned something from it or gone away thinking something of it. As always, I do appreciate your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy any of the videos that you see on the channel, please do like them and subscribe to the channel, so therefore more of the things that we discuss here, more of the videos I made here get to other people who may not normally have access to them. Share these videos that you think will be enjoyed by others, or inform them of possibilities of the future, and to make them realize that they're not alone. Until the next one, this is DCB. First of all, once again, I wish you a Merry Christmas. And as always, knowledge is power if we use it wisely.